This is my new pupper's shadow. Now I want to share some of my favorite photos from this week. I shot 2 rolls, black and white film. It was a pretty good week, I must say. But before I share some photos, I just want to say that this video is brought to you by Circle Time. Circle Time is an interactive educational practice where participants gather in a circle to engage in discussions or activities. And my favorite thing about Circle Time is that you don't even need a promo code. Okay, this photo, I love it. That is my cute little dog on a skateboard. I really like all the gray tones. I like this little squiggly line that leads up to the skateboard. This is my favorite chair in the world. And I mean, yeah, my cute little dog on a skateboard. So she did break her leg. And so she's now in a cast. So next week, when I share some photos, you'll see her in a cast. Okay. Well, before I get too far here, let me just share some of the details. This is more of a pause screen for those that really want to know what I'm up to. It's kind of the same as usual. My lens is a Zeiss Sonnar this week, right? So if you see a 50, that's the Sonnar. And if you see a wider angle, that's either the Elmar 24 or the Zeiss 25. Just shot 2 rolls of FP4, and yeah, you can read the rest if you want. All right. Yeah, I like all these trees here, silhouetted. Right, I'm focused on that window in the background. This is with a 50 millimeter. I'm stopped down a little bit, but not a lot. I think this is a good composition. I also like that it could work its way into my mailbox project. Okay, one of my favorite houses to photograph. I love this shadow on the house. You can still sort of see those curtains in the door. You can see the top shape of this giant hedge. There's that bright garage door. Right, a little bit of texture sort of throughout. You get the trash bins hiding. Again, this is sort of me practicing focusing on something far away and letting the foreground be out of focus. It's a so-so shot. But I do sort of like this trifecta of windows. Boop, boop, boop. But yeah, overall not quite strong enough. Again, this is the 50 Sonnar. I could make a series of videos about how much I love the Sonnar, but let's not get distracted. Right, it's all these what do you call these little flowers? Queen's lace? I have no idea. Right, you sort of, you can get in there and you can see all that detail. And it's right by the road. Right, so the contrast of all that with the road and that white line, and I kind of like it. Now I live close to a cemetery, and this one is like, it's very photogenic, but I've sort of never actually had a good picture of it. It's this is probably the best I've got. It's so-so. Now here, I get excited about this one. I really like the gray tones, the gradation on the sign. I like the plant. I think that's maybe lavender right behind it. I like these little dandelions. And I also really like the feeling of depth. What's the right way to talk about it? Right, it's the focus fall off, and sort of that like it's gentle, it's soft. Right, it's something the Sonnar is very good at. And I sort of like that you can't see what's on the sign. It's just all gray. Right, I'm trying to get this interplay of all the different shapes. And right, I'm sort of careful to kind of leave space in between everything as well. Right, and this is sort of an interesting tipped diagonal thing. And what is it there for? Is it protecting the mailbox? It's a mailbox protector, I think. Yeah, it is sort of an odd thing, isn't it? I don't see a lot of those other places. Yeah, I saw the wispy clouds and I exposed down. And it's one nice thing about shooting on an M4, right? I meter by eye. I sort of have these types of creative thoughts a little more easily when I'm doing metering right in my mind. Okay, so something new that's happening is I'm going on shorter, closer walks, and my cats are joining me. Well, it's because my cats are joining me that my walks are getting shorter and closer. But this is my cat, Lewis. So he likes to follow me. And he kind of goes on these little mini adventures, right? So like, I don't go onto this person's property, but he does. And then I'm like, well, I'll go take a picture of him. And I mean, look at that jump. He jumped over that giant pile of stuff. I wish I'd gotten him a little bit more towards the top of his jump. I was a little slow on my reaction time. But overall, it's an interesting pile of stuff. And yeah, pretty good. Now here is the Sonnar wide open, and it's wide open because this is morning and this is in the shade. And also I wanted a pretty decent shutter speed because I don't know if you can, how well you know cats, but this is a cat that's about to move, right? He's like got his eyes on something, and yeah, he might be still or he might be ready to like take off. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an okay picture. I love my cat. All right, my other cat is also joining me on these walks. And right, I like this pattern in the driveway, and I saw this great shadow cast by my cat Goldie, and I focused there, right? I focused here on the shadow, and I let her be out of focus and sort of wanted the tail, right? You see how the tail splits and goes in two different directions. And I took 3. I'm only going to show 2, but these were my favorite 2. I haven't quite decided which one I like best of the 2. I think this one, because like I mentioned, you can, how much you just feel the tail. Although this one has a cool tail shape too. And it has this nice brick pattern in the background. Now, here's one where I was going to take this picture anyways. I mean, I did take the picture, right? Here it is. But my cat said, well, let me be in the picture. And I obliged. And then he turned around and he said, okay, take this one. So, you're right, I did have to add some exposure because I wanted his eyes. So the shadows aren't quite sitting as hard. Right, the darkest black, other than this like deep shade over here, is his face. And I love that there's a little gap of gray between his tail and that shadow up there, and then his long shadow with the ears. You know, I've taken a lot of these, and I'm sort of done taking photos like this. But I like this circle in the asphalt. All right. And how the kind of speckles in the asphalt almost look like, I don't know, stars in the sky. Now, something that happened recently in my neighborhood is houses got new house numbers. So a house that used to be number 36 is now number 80. Don't ask me why. I don't know what problem this solved. But I like this old fence. I like the 8080 and then also that 36. Right, this is still the Sonnar. I don't think I've pulled out my wide angles yet. And again, it's FP4 on both rolls. And I'm not going to show two rolls. I've gone through and picked my favorites here. You know, this plant was growing through my fence, which I need to take it out or it's going to destroy my fence. I tried to make something of it. I actually took 2 photos of this. You know, I think they're both good, not great. Now here I got excited about, right, my focus is actually these shadows over here. But then just sort of this kind of play of the leaves and sort of the tones, the light tones and the gray tones, that fence tones, and it's a pretty fun one to look at if you're just like a film nerd like me. Composition is good, not great. Oh. Okay. Yeah. I do like those dark gray tones in the leaves, right? It's almost right, characteristic of a lot of my photos. I like a lot of dark gray and black with some popping whites. So this is hitting all those. I sort of like right, that again, it's always lavender, right? Background lavender. And we're still living in the Sonnar world. That 50 Sonnar, I tell you. Anybody tells you that that's not an incredible lens doesn't know what they're talking about. Look at Lewis. He saw me taking a picture of the plant, right? And he said, Dad. Me, Dad. Me. That's also what this mailbox said to me, basically. I do like the these 3 stars, right? The tones and the sharpness right there. And it's sort of an interesting quadrant of mailbox activity. Now, I got the dog because I felt like my boys were ready for some additional responsibility. And then I fell in love with the dog immediately, much faster than I thought I would. She's very sweet. And here are my boys taking her for her very first walk, which, you know, she didn't quite understand what was going on. And she also doesn't quite fit in her harness yet. So here she is, sort of, she's got her foot in the wrong spot. And I just think she's so cute that I just had to take this picture. There's like not really a lot going on in the picture, but this is just like my cute little doggy. And here it happened that this baby has the same birthday as my puppy. So we stopped and chatted, and then my son, who was walking Shadow, got sort of tangled up. So this is an action shot. Maybe next, you know, in a few months, I'll take another picture of this baby and my dog, track their changes. Yeah, Goldie and Shadow are having a little encounter. Right, this is still the first week, so they're still figuring each other out. Right, and I'm focused on Goldie. And here I took another because I wanted to get George in the photo too. Just a little bit of George, but I wanted him to be there. Okay, I have pulled out my wide angles. Now, I mentioned I'm shooting the Leica and the Zeiss, the 24 and the 25. I actually went through and I took identical shots with both because I'm comparing those lenses. And but that's not going to be part of this video, right? So I use some from the Leica and some from the Zeiss here. I mean, the sun was just blasting these leaves. Right, this was sort of like I thought of it as like just a test shot, but then I kind of like how it turned out. Now, I like this one, right? If you haven't seen it yet, there's a mailbox right there in the middle, 9220, hiding in the shadow. Right, I'm a big fan of the 24-25 focal length. For some reason, it just sits right with me. I like the sort of left-rightness of this one, the bush and the fence contrasting, that shadow, and then back behind it, that house. Yeah. Now I've been this summer. I think I've looked at well over 500, probably 1,000 or more photo books. And now I'm also getting into art books, and I'm being inspired by some of the art I've been looking at. This one reminds me, I know you're not, I'm sort of ashamed to say it because, like, right, it's yeah, I can't say it. You're gonna be like, what? It looks nothing like a so-and-so painting. All right. Man, I like this one. Not much to say. I think it speaks for itself here. I also like that I included my shadow in there a little bit. All right, we're getting close to the end here. So I live by a water tower, and I found out recently that there's no water in the water tower. Instead, it is now a cell tower. All right, so I was curious, and I went by it, and the gate was actually open, so I went in and checked it out. Oh man, I love that grain and texture and the shadow. Oh man. I also like on this one, I got this like wire here. All right, and there's even some like dark gray in the shadow. It's not just black. But it has so much beautiful film texture to it. And then I like this sort of crazy shadow along the water tower. But then also those little splotches, those bright splotches. It was like, I don't know what those are. Are they, did they do some touch-up work with paint? I don't know. But then that shadow sort of looks like, is it a tornado or is it a, it's an interesting shadow. Okay, the last shot from this week. Now I'm going to zoom in on this one because, right, I am shooting FP4. I gave this shot a little extra exposure. Right, I shot it more like a 50 speed. It's a bright, sunny, right, sun is shining on the sun here. And my development was in Rodinal was like, and Xtol is like a pretty aggressive push. So I'm taking a 100 speed film that's known for having very fine grain, but what I'm doing to it is like I'm adding grain. So let's go look. Oh, okay, there's 100%. Man, okay. All right, my next roll, it's going to be interesting. So my M3 is back. Got a fresh CLA. And I'm also going to Yosemite for the first time in my life. So who knows what I'll have to show. And it won't be 1 week. It's going to be 2 weeks this time. But okay, take care.